Thank you for coming, but obviously I wish you weren't here today. But we're here in the city of Corning, my hometown, with my wife, with our mayor, our state assemblyman, and some of our colleagues and supporters from the campaign at our campaign offices, because last night at 1:30 approximately in the morning, we had a brick thrown through the front of our window, as you can see from the damage that's occurred here. First and foremost, thank goodness, thank God, there were no campaign workers here. No one was hurt, but this type of violence is just completely unacceptable. I will never understand what I'm seeing across the country in regards to people thinking that violence is the solution to our problems in America. And to see it happen right here in our hometown, the place that my wife and I live and have raised our son and our daughter, is just something I never thought that we would experience. And the bottom line, though, to the coward that did this, I just say to him or her that this will not deter us. We know who we are. We know what we stand for. We will continue to bring our beliefs to the table in our democratic process. We will stand firm, but as I've demonstrated, I'm always willing to listen to anyone. I'm always willing to find common ground. I'm always willing to see the other side of the equation. And you do that not by engaging in violence. You do that by sitting, by talking, and most importantly, by listening. And so to that individual, I will never understand why your heart and your soul would think that engaging in violence would be the solution. I feel for that individual, and I hope he or she will choose a different path going forward. But at the end of the day, we are going to continue. We are going to continue, and this is inspired, as you can tell by the people that have come out on very short notice to stand with us, to be even more energized in what we believe in and what we're doing on this campaign and what we're standing for when it comes to democracy in America. And to our law enforcement who are here and have responded, I just want to say thank you. They came and they've done, started their investigation. They are one of the best here at Corning PD. We've known them for years. We know that they know we have their back, and they have our back by their response here today. And so I just want to say thank you to the men and women at Corning Police Department. And I also want to say thank you to the mayor of Corning, Bill Bolin, who is standing here as a Democrat, as a Republican, to join in condemning this violence in our beautiful town and our beautiful city of Corning. And also to our state assemblyman, Bill Palmisano, who's with us, to say on behalf of all the local officials that this is unacceptable and that we are united in this message that violence is not the path that we should choose in settling our differences ever. So that being said, I want to turn it over to the mayor first, and then we'll go to Bill Palmisano.
Well, I just want to add my voice to the congressman's to say that this is unacceptable behavior. We just don't do this in Corning, New York. It's one thing to have political differences, and we certainly do. And to give those full expressions, emotions often run high, and it's understandable that there's sometimes hard discourse between us. That's part of the democratic process. But this is vandalism, pure and simple, and it has no place in our community.
Thank you, Mayor. Bill?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead. We got our mask on, so we're okay.
I just wanted to say I'm here with our mayor and our congressman to say violence is not acceptable in our community. We are better than that. We know better than that. I certainly understand there's great division in our politics in our country. And I certainly understand there's much frustration and anger and concern with what's going on in our communities around this state and around this country for different reasons. But I guess if I have any ask or request or wish, I would ask, let us not resort to violence and property destruction to solve those differences. We are better than that as a country. We are better than that as a community. Let us talk to each other. Let us work with each other. because violence and destruction, those actions that we see happening, what we saw happen here last night, what we're seeing happen around our country, does not get us to the goal and outcome that we want to get to. We need to have an open dialogue and an open conversation. It's the way to go. I inherently believe in the goodness of the American people and the American spirit. What happened here last night was not symbolic or representative of that, and what we continue to see going on around the country with the violence and destruction is not representative and symbolic of that. We can do better. We must do better. Let us work together to make our country, our state, and our community better for the people who live here, who just want a quality of life to work, live, and raise their family in a healthy, safe environment.
Thank you, Phil. Anybody want to say anything? Okay. Questions?
So this happened last night at 1:30 or 1:30 early this
Approximately.
morning. And how did you find out about it? Did you get a call from police? Did the alarm go off?
Yeah, so it was reported by, obviously there's people living here on the street, and so the Corning Police Department was notified, and then obviously our staff was notified shortly thereafter, and obviously I came down this morning to check it out, and the police were here on the spot doing their investigation, and that investigation is continuing.
Now, was anything destroyed inside, or is it just the
Yeah,
window?
pretty much it's the glass. It's pretty much you know, what you see in regards to the things that have been knocked over and things like that. But the most important thing, I mean, you see, that's a desk right there. That's where and these are young staffers, these are young volunteers to a large degree. These are young men and women that are just passionate of volunteering on the campaign, a lot of them, and they work right there. And that sends a message to these kids that, you know, that they don't need to be exposed to, that violence is going to happen while you're carrying out your political beliefs. That's not what we are in America. That's not how we settle our differences. We settle our differences at the ballot box, and at the end of the day, we try to unite our country, not divide it.
And you said something like this has never happened before, that here at
Never,
your office.
never that I'm aware of. I mean, we've obviously have folks that are very passionate in their positions, and but never have we experienced physical violence. I mean, I've been screamed at, I've been spat upon, and things like that. But that's me, and I've received that. But to see our property destroyed, to see our campaign workers potentially exposed to this, and to see those young men and women potentially put at risk, that raises it to a level that is completely a level we've never experienced before, and is personally offensive to me. I signed up for this. I know that this is part, you know, when I go out there, I recognize I put myself in this position. These are volunteers. These are workers. These are people that are just doing the work of democracy, and they don't need to be put into this position where they're potentially going to have their physical safety harmed. And I think that's what the intent was, is that they're trying to maybe turn these folks away or discourage these folks from participating. But I got a message to the individual who did this, or to the group that did this, whatever, whoever it may be. This has reinvigorated us. This has re-energized us. This has given us more commitment to what we believe in, and this is going to make us stronger as an organization because of this type of intimidation has a different effect on Team Reed.
What kind of security system did you have, i.e. cameras and alarms, and will you be increasing that?
You know, I still believe in the American people and the people of the 23rd Congressional District. They're good, honest people. So we're not going to let individuals change our way of life that engage in this type of behavior. We have security systems. We have protocols that are in place. So we're going to continue to follow those. But you cannot live in a state of fear. And that's why we live here. That's why this is, you know, when we first woke up to this news, why it was so concerning. This is our home. This is where we live. My wife and I live a few blocks away from here. This is where our kids went to school. So it does have an impact there, but we're not going to change our way of life.
I'm here. The truck is going by. Do
Yeah.
you have cameras here?
So there are cameras, obviously systems, but we're not going to get into that because the investigation's going on. So we'll let the police do their investigation, Jeff, and we'll let that all come out in the mix.
Is it just Corning PD that's investigating it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if or when they find somebody, do you plan on pressing charges?
Well, of course. It is unacceptable to think that this type of vandalism, this type of destruction of property can go unaccounted for. Justice needs to be done. But at the end of the day, I do have a compassionate heart. I care for people. And what I would like to do is talk to that individual in the sense of why do you think that is acceptable? Why do you think, as a human being, that this is the path that's going to solve the problems that divide us as a nation? Just to really try to see if there's a perspective that I can learn from. But at the end of the day, justice still needs to be done. And that is something we can never lose in America.
Recently, the DNC was also vandalized in Phoenix. Is this a pattern that's happening across the country?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole issue of violence. It seems like the country seems to be obviously divided, but it's also raised into a level that violence is becoming more and more acceptable. And that's not a path that we're going to support. That is a path, and I'm proud to say that Democrat, Republican, standing together, are condemning, and we should condemn it, and we should condemn it loudly and vigorously.
Has your opponent reached out to you about the incident?
No, I haven't heard anything, and you know, that's nothing I can control. And bottom line is, we'll just keep moving forward, and it will take care of itself.
You mentioned that you're not going to let this create fear within you. But like you said, you have family and children here. Are they scared at all?
Of course, and that is something we will deal with. But the way we have dealt with that over the years, I mean, you know, our family, that's something people don't realize. I mean, Bill may understand this. Phil Palmisano, as an elected official, may understand this, and I know elected officials that have run for office. The families, they're not the ones who have run, but they're exposed to these threats, to what they see on social media. And that has been some of the most difficult days that my wife and I have experienced, with Autumn and Will in particular. And the things that people say, the things that people not only say physically and verbally, but what is on social media behind the cloak of not having to put your name on it is unbelievable. But that has allowed us, and it's allowed my son and daughter, Autumn and Will, to become stronger human beings, and it's allowed us to understand who we are. And I will just say, again, it doesn't deter us, and it's made us better people as a result of it. But to say it doesn't impact us is just not being an honest human being. Okay.
Do you want to add anything else?
No, just thank you to all our staff workers and to our volunteers and the folks that are here. They're the ones that do all the work. They're the ones that I really feel for, and know that we're standing with them as this occurs, and I'm just proud of them, and I'm thankful, and I'm humbled by all the support. That gets Jean and I and our family through it, knowing that these folks have our back and we have theirs. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Of course.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm awake.